Okay, so we're going to be bracing the top and the back. I think we'll split it into two videos for number 1527. The first thing is, these are our two go bar decks. This one has a flat plate here for the top. This has got a radius dish plate for the back. So the first thing I do is I just come over and brush the plates off. Make sure there's not like a piece of dried glue or a wood chip from the planer or something that's going to mark up.
So remember that the show side is going to be down, and Carrie has already carefully polished that show side.
Yeah.
And
so I don't want to mark it up at all because it's...
We don't want dents, we don't want anything.
Yeah, because a dent in the top now means I'd have to sand until it went away, which means you're going to change the thickness, and I'm not interested in that. So, and then I just check, it says Tenor Classic 1527. This is Myrtle, so knowing that it's a tenor, knowing that it's Myrtle, causes me to pick out certain braces out of our drawers. So I need 2 cross braces, I need a bridge plate, I need 2 fans, 1, 2 back braces, and then I need a little scrap of this back strip material, and I need 2 pieces of this. So that's everything. Now this cross brace goes here, and I'm not going to cut the corners off it. I want this one to be really stiff, so I'm going to leave that here now. Bridge plate's going to go here, and this goes here. So I set those aside because these other braces I'm going to take over to my sander right now, and I'm going to knock the corners off so that it saves time later when I'm carving. Also, this is a good chance to make sure that none of the braces are warped or cracked or have knots in them or anything. And I'll also take the radius braces, because they have a curve, and I'm going to set them on my go bar deck, the curved one, and make sure that they both have the curve on the correct side, and they do. And also, these braces look straight. I'm happy. So
don't make the same mistake that Char did. She got into these and forgot her to wear her safety glasses.
Oh, well, yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm putting my ears on right now. I don't wear glasses with this one because it just makes sawdust, but I always put my ears on when I run this tool. So here I go. I'm just going to be knocking the corners off. Can you see it?
I'll get in there.
Okay. Loud noises. Here we go. Clean off the extra shavings here. Okay, so on these plates, I've got pencil marks that Char did, and it's where the bracing goes. And I've done enough of these that you know, it goes pretty quick. But basically, here's where they're gonna go. I just set them all up, make sure we've got the right number of everything, and they're facing the right way. And that we're all on our way. Notice that this one I didn't knock the corners off of. This is an important brace because this whole area is where the fingerboard touches the top. It's where the neck and body meet, and we want this area to be really, really stiff and really very, very, very stable so that there's a good transfer of energy through the instrument. Down here is where we want the top to pump. Here is where we want it to be rock solid. So that's why this one doesn't get cut off. Okay, now I'm all set for the top, so I'm going to get my glue out. I got, and I'm ready to go. I want a perfectly even bead of glue that I'll then try to make sure it's even all the way across. Place it down on the line. It's probably hard for you guys to see the line, but I can see it.
So while Aaron's doing these other ones, I'll back up a little bit and talk about these go bar decks. No, we didn't design them. I wish we had. These are standard for guitar building. And in fact, I had the first 2 of these when I used to build guitars, and they work just fine for ukuleles as well. But they're 2 3/4-inch pieces of plywood, one underneath and one that is up top. And you can see the PVC pipe, but that's actually just protecting threaded rods that are separating those and making the entire deck very rigid. I talked about even clamping pressure in the last video. In this case, the clamps are going to be fiberglass rods that bend like a pole vault pole, and Aaron is going to put those in place, and that's going to provide the clamping pressure for all of these braces. And it's just a brilliant thing to do. Is there glue under the bridge plate? Sorry, I didn't see you do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're going to provide even clamping pressure the whole way, and it's just a really cool thing. I talked about how difficult it is to get clamps that can get where you need to get. Can you imagine trying to clamp with large throat clamps in on these braces that have these angles and so forth? It would be a mess, and these Go-Bar decks make it super easy.
Can I talk about the braces a little bit?
Yeah.
So I think when you're first getting going with building, figuring out what the bracing pattern is going to be is like this mythical thing. And I think when you first get going, it's like, oh, do I put 2 fans, 3 fans, 5 fans, etc. And oh, by the way, the Go bars are different. Whoops, they're different heights for different jobs. So right away at the start, I pull out some of the taller ones for some jobs and shorter ones for others. So that's what I'm doing. Anyway, back to the bracing pattern. You kind of convince yourself that there must be one magical way to do things. But in reality, there's so many factors involved. How thick are the plates? How tall, how wide are these braces? What brace materials are you using, etc. So, this is our standard tenor, but it gets altered and adjusted according to what the plates are like. If I was using a really, really light, less dense wood like redwood, I might add a brace or so to these in order to make sure it's solid. If I was, or vice versa. So we're using 2 fans here. Somebody else might use 5 fans and get the same result because of what they're doing. So
I remember a guy early on writing and asking if we would use Adirondack spruce for the bracing.
Yeah,
and I'm sure he had, instead of Sitka, which is what we use, I'm sure he had read something on a forum that talked about some great virtue of Adirondack. And I would guess that the builder who wrote that, it happened to work really well with their design. But, you don't want to try to tear apart the design of any particular builder because the whole instrument is a system.
It's a system, yeah. You don't want to mess with it. I mean, also, I think, how many of these have I braced now, do you think?
How many tops?
How many tops and backs have I braced? Maybe 500?
Yeah, I would say.
I'd say somewhere around 500, and I feel like I'm kind of getting it now, after doing 500. So why would I don't want to make too many adjustments. I don't want to switch bracing materials. I want to get better at what I'm doing.
And that's really a Mya-Moe philosophy. Some people like to always be doing a new model or a new size or experimenting, and we experiment, but in very minor ways.
Glacially.
Our goal is quality and consistency, which you're always learning more. It's just amazing. You would think after all the instruments we built, there'd be no more to learn, but I feel like every day we learn something.
So now I have the longer Go bars out because I'm onto the bridge plate and it's thinner, so it needs a longer bar to get the same clamping pressure.
And there's a caul that he's put in place, that piece of wood right there on top of the bridge plate.
And on top of this piece of...
And then on top down there.
We put a little piece of backstrip material here because we don't want to put another brace, but that joint, it's a joint. We want it to be covered.
That he's gluing down now is called cross-grain spruce. So the grain is running across the joint. On all of the other braces, it's very important that the grain is vertical.
Almost done. And I have to clean this little bit of glue out right away because I'm going to put 2 braces there and I can't get to it later. So
just as Shar in the last video was doing a lot of glue clearing, that's what Aaron's doing. And if you look carefully, you will see squeeze out on every brace.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. And I double checked that I got all of them that I want. 3, 6, 9, 12. There's a lot. I never really counted.
Oh, how many Go bars?
Yeah. Okay, and then I get going with this little glue clearing chisel. Wet glue is easier to deal with than dried glue, always. So I try to get it out
I'm not going to whip you around and show the back side of this. But you get the picture here.
Yeah, I want to get, when I first got going, I think sometimes I didn't use enough glue because I thought, oh, it's too messy to have all that squeeze out, it must be fine. But then also I think it's easy to get too much glue. You don't want too much squeeze out because also the braces will slide around and stuff because the extra glue makes it hard for them to stay. And, whoops, see that one just ticked off. You got to keep it there. Stay. Now it's hard to kind of reach in here and get the last little bits of it.
But there's just a right amount of glue. And you'd think something so simple as gluing, you know, it would just be that. It'd be simple, like, oh,
Yeah.
one instruction. But
This,
there's a lot of technique to that simple operation.
and the bracing is like the skeleton of the instrument. If there's a flaw in this, it's going to come back to bite us, and I'm going to have to do extra work later. So it's a really good idea to try to get this perfect right now instead of dealing with it later. That's all my squeeze out. So,
We'll go to the back in the next video.
yep.
All right.